Alright guys, such coming here, and I hope you're doing that and enjoying your day. So far, the Black Ops 3 Legacy match goes down last night. One key player was the standout in a very entertaining series, but roster drama happening elsewhere. Rumour has it contracts are getting signed, aBeZy's locked in his deal wherever he's going to go, and what about Kismet to Falcons? But it's not as simple as that. Rumour has it Kismet, if he does join, might be on the flex role. Is that a good decision? Has Cellium made a terrible call? Very much intro to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, and congratulations to Scump and his wife. They confirmed yesterday that they've got a kid on the way. Makes me feel kind of old, I'm not going to lie. Some people have actually speculated on this for a little while, and I think Scump said that he kind of revealed it to the family good 5-6 weeks or so ago now. But yeah, now it's public information. So I thought that was honestly really great. Like, congratulations to them both. And Hex in the reply says, I can't wait for him to win us a chip as we watch party of the COD 2043, you know, Black Ops 17 or something. But yeah, Hex, I'll be 63, damn. So anyway, that was your first update of the day. But talking of Scump, let's get into the Black Ops 3 Legacy match, because, yeah, I was ready for this one, and it was the OpTic Dynasty versus the current OpTic team. There were a couple of caveats that I think made it more likely that the current OpTic team were going to be winning this one. Firstly is that, you know, Dashy especially, and maybe some of the other guys as well, have been playing quite a few Black Ops 3 chals. This has been the game to play. And it's kind of funny, because back in the day, every year of COD, we used to go to like a different title for the off-season, and that would be like the primary title that people would grind. For example, when we went back to World War II for the 2018 season, everyone played Ghosts that off-season, right? That was the game, because it was, okay, back to boots on the grounds. It was just all Ghost, Search and Destroy. That's what everyone played. And over the last few years, I messed around a bit. Sometimes it's been BO4, sometimes it's been Cold War, even stuff like that. But over the last couple of years, basically everyone just plays Black Ops 3, and this of course is the correct answer. But Dashy's been playing, and these guys have been playing quite a few chals lately, a fair bit of BO3, whereas obviously the Dynasty guys haven't. Formal's been playing Halo, Karma's been, you know, playing, I don't know, Rust or whatever he plays, Kremp's been racing, and then Scump's been having a kid. So, well, you know what I'm saying. Now, Scump always will hold his own in these. Like, Scump, of all the players who have retired, Scump is clearly, you know, I'm not just talking of these guys on the Dynasty, I'm talking like any player, like clearly could come back. But Mercules dropped 50 on their heads. So, you know, it is what it is, right? Mercules just spawned in. Now, there was no respawn delay, I think, here, so maybe why there were slightly higher engagements than you might expect. But Scump was 39 and 34 with a minute 22 in the hill. But Mercules went on like a 7 spree, then he went on a 5 spree to close out the game, double positive, 50 and 26. Dashy had 41 kills as well. But it's not like the Dynasty guys didn't get their moment, right? Karma had a nice 1v2 here in the Search and Destroy, and then Kremp popped this fantastic 1 versus 3. So, you know, I just thought it was great to see a roll back the years a little bit. The way that Kremp played this as well was great, because he hops up top, and then he gets the first kill here onto, who is it? Yeah, he takes down Dashy first. Now, I don't know why he's using the grip on the Cuda, because it makes no difference, but whatever. And then he does like the fake glass break here, and then runs back, kind of baits up Mercules into looking this way, and then he clears it and absolutely guns him for the 3-0. And they went on to 6-0 this map as well. Kremp stands up and talks a bit of trash. So I thought it was great, right? At the end of the day, this OpTic Texas team just won the World Championship and the Esports World Cup back-to-back. And, you know, the Dynasty comes out and 6-0s them on Stronghold Search and Destroy. Stronghold's my favourite map in the history of COD. Certainly right up there. Like, I'll go for it. Like, I love Stronghold. Then we got this moment on the Infection, right? So Infection, Search and Destroy, another legendary map mode combination. Famously, this OpTic team beat Rise Nation on this map, Game 7, Round 11, against Octane's team at the time. It actually all came down to this bomb site. But yeah, Shotzzy gets in and manages to lay down. I don't really know how Kremp, I mean, if Kremp was playing in a wider field of view, he probably sees him here, because then Kremp runs away and turns around, and just as Scump realizes it, he gets the defuse in. So, you know, not going to see that every day, a proper 1v4 ninja defuse. Even the way that Shotzzy got into this position, right, hitting the low wall run, which people, you know, didn't even discover in Black Ops 3 for a good few months anyway. But obviously it's now very much well known. We did also have another map here, like another banger map that the OpTic got. I keep wanting to say the OpTic guys, speaking of the Dynasty. But yeah, they did manage to win it. It ended up 250-249. And yeah, maybe Shotzzy did pull out the Argus. But it was still a great map here on the evac. Just, well, like, what an absolutely sensational game Black Ops 3 is. And yeah, maybe people would say, oh, well, I was expecting more from this player, or or from Kremp or from Formal or whatever. Formal don't really care, like, I will say that. Like, he's got bigger fish to fry, really, and getting him motivated to turn up and play a week of Legacy matches didn't really seem to be working so well for Formal. And you might say, oh, like, finally, the Dynasty's washed up, right? Like, it's the Lightning McQueen meme of, like, Storm or whatever his name is moving past him. Maybe there's some truth to that, to be fair, like, nothing lasts forever, as it were. But still, if we went back and played, I think BO3 was always going to be probably favouring the new team, especially with Mercules just being that guy, apparently, in every single game that he plays. If we went back to Ghost or to BO2, we've seen the OpTic Dynasty team absolutely destroy the current OpTic roster in previous matches like this. So it was probably about time that the current OpTic team actually got their revenge in some regards, even if it's a slightly different team to what it used to be. And JP was talking about as well, like, what a game BO3 was. Of course, there was Banner Protect, which is why you sometimes see weapons like the Pharaoh, the 4-round burst SMG. But to be fair, even without Banner Protect, on a map like evac, the HVK is an incredibly viable AR. Like, it's a brilliant AR, and especially on, like, I would run this when I was playing as, like, main AR on my, like, little team we had back in the day. I would just use the HVK. It doesn't matter, like, if the M8 was allowed or whatever. I'd just use the HVK on evac because it was such a good gun for it. The weapons are so well balanced, like, every AR pretty much was viable, apart from the KN44. Like, even Octane would use the ICR7. You had, the XR2 getting used, the 3-round burst weapon. Even multiple SMGs are viable, the Vesper, the VMP. The Kuda was even viable during the life cycle. Now the VMP got nerfed, the Kuda's the main gun, but even back then, the Kuda could still be used. As I say, the Pharaoh, just what a great, I mean, look, you give me an excuse to talk about Black Ops 3, I am gonna do it, like, apologies, but it is what it is. Anyway, Dashy dominated the series, 99 overall cars, especially in the uplink and the search and destroy. The uplink was really fun to watch as well, especially because we think that uplink might be coming back for the new title. It's certainly been a rumour. Dashy with the 99 overall cards. These were the overall numbers on the series as well. Of the Dynasty, Scump was really the only one who was kind of holding his own there. And Merc, to be fair, after having a dominant map 1, only finished with a 1.15, but he still goes undefeated on the week. Mercules played 4 series, he won all 4 of them, but it was Dashy with a 1.5 almost against the Dynasty. So maybe about time that the current OpTic team got their revenge. But let's talk about some of the roster developments, because yesterday Miami confirmed Real is gone. Today we say goodbye. Probably about time they did this, really, just because, they still got the tweet up when they did that post the other day about the state of the situation with Real. Let's just have a quick little scroll down here. Of course, Lucky retired as well, if you guys didn't see that. Oh, it looks like they've deleted it. Wow, what a surprise. So anyway, they did that post about Real and said that at 21:59 hours on this day, Real verbally agreed for this, and then it never happened, and people were clowning them for it. And look, a player that's given a lot to the organisation, been a crucial part of their best ever season, they've got to at least give him a nice send-off, right? And that's what they do. They say, today we say goodbye to Real after 2 years at the club. Good luck in your future, and we're pretty sure he is going to be heading to Toronto. JoeDeceives, Real, CleanX, +1, but currently we don't know the +1. I wouldn't be shocked if Insight just comes back again. I mean, like, we've seen this game play out so many times where Insight's like, oh, well, I'm a free agent and Toronto are looking to maybe sell me, but they're not going to sell him, or nobody else really wants him because this time he's an unrestricted free agent. So then they bring you back anyway because CleanX is like, well, of the ARs I could get, Jamie's the man for the job. And I honestly don't mind it at all. I honestly do think the Insight, CleanX, JoeDeceives, Real team could be pretty damn good. Is Insight the best AR available if there was a totally free market? No, but of the options that are left available, I can see why you would do it, let's say, bring him back. But they might not, who knows? They might obviously target Nastie. They could go and get him. I think that's something worthy of consideration. There's other ARs as well, if the Gentamates have taken them or not. So Real is officially gone. aBeZy has officially, he says, signed a contract. So, where is this? Have Falcons made a last-minute swoop and got him in? Have FaZe? I mean, look, he signed a contract. He's still FaZe aBeZy. He's still got the Atlanta FaZe affiliate. Maybe he's going back after all. But we know that O4 tweeted out the contract signing thing a while ago as well. We're pretty sure he's going to the LA Thieves. And it's funny, right? If you're aBeZy, you've gone from turning up in your career and almost straight away playing with Simp. Of course, Simp joined halfway through BO4, and aBeZy also played in the World War II season before that. But pretty much aBeZy's whole career, his sub-duo has been Simp, and now we think his sub-duo is HyDra. So, you know, not a bad couple of teammates, right, to have. That aBeZy HyDra scrap trio, I mean, should be unbelievably deadly if aBeZy can level up again, I think, a little bit. Like aBeZy's hardpoint the last couple of years has been a little bit more lackluster than maybe you would expect. But his search and destroy, the ability to get, I mean, just on paper, right, aBeZy getting your first bloods and HyDra then, like, being the second man in, it's kind of, and Scrap was unreal at search and destroy this year, was so good. The question, I think, is around Kenny in this one anyway, because in the search and destroy department, we know that Kenny, historically, his teams and himself individually, online search and destroy, not really been a bread and butter. But it would be very surprising if that team isn't pretty godlike next year, if they have indeed signed aBeZy to Thieves. And how are they getting the money for it? It is a question, because we thought Thieves are pretty broke, but they've got Scrub and HyDra on a contract. You know, they at least admitted the salary that they would pay them last year, so they know that they can afford it this year as well. And then we think they're selling Ghosty, right? Kind of confused about the Envoy thing, because Envoy was an unrestricted free agent. That's what they made him. UFA, no buyouts, right? So maybe they just did a favor to somebody, but just a bit confused, because if Gentlemates are signing Envoy and Ghosty as we think that they are, then, you know, they might well have paid a buyout for both of them, right? Rather than just one. Maybe Thieves could have done that differently. But we think that they're selling Ghosty to Gentlemates and they're going to get a buyout for that. And as a result, they can take that to FaZe and they can buy aBeZy. Maybe that's happened, maybe it hasn't. The other thing is on the Falcons, though. So they wanted Scrap. They were willing to pay a lot of money for Scrap, at least as far as they were concerned. It wasn't enough as far as Thieves are concerned. Maybe they could still up that offer and try and go again. But more than likely, they missed out on Scrap. They tried to get Sib, but Sib said no, and Ghosty presumably said no as well. So now they're pivoting. They're taking a different tactic, and they're going to get Kismet, and they're going to mess things around. So Kismet is said to be landing on the Falcons. And to be fair, for Kismet's situation, and I also think for the team, this makes a lot of sense. I like the idea of a Kismet-Pred sub-duo, but that's not what we're getting, and we'll see that in a second. So we think that Sib and Ghosty are both going to Gentlemates. This is actually pretty interesting. As for Sib, so Falcons were unwilling to meet the Thieves' steep asking price for Ghosty. So that says kind of a lot, doesn't it? The Falcons, they've got plenty of money to spend if they want to. We know that for sure. But they're not trying to, like, waste money as far as I'm concerned. And also, as I said the other day, Thieves apparently put a Falcons tax on Ghosty to say, well, Falcons, we know you've got more money than this, so we want more money from you. And, you know, the difficulty with that becoming public was that Falcons, unless they have no self-respect, they're never going to pay that, right? Like, if Thieves are literally telling us it's one price for me and it's a different price for these guys, like, I'm not going to pay, like, if you're willing to accept X money for Ghosty, I'm not going to pay 2X for Ghosty, because I know you'll sell him 2X for the other guys. So Falcons were never going to agree to that, at least once that became knowledge that they were getting charged the Falcons tax. So, you know, they said no. Ghosty, therefore, going to Gentlemate. And Sib reportedly had worries about joining Falcons because he thinks, and he might have good reason to think, that next year they will just go and get Scrap. And it's plausible. I mean, it's also plausible that Scrap could go somewhere else, but, you know, the thing is, where else would Scrap go other than Thieves? OpTic, but, like, do you see Dashy and Mercules changing anytime soon? You know, not really, right? So, you know, I think for Scrap to Falcons next year could be plausible, and they would pay him a huge amount of money to make it happen, of course. So Sib was concerned that they would drop him for Scrap after a year, and therefore, in terms of a more longer-term option, he prefers the Gentlemates. Now, the most compelling thing, I think, in the article is that Kismet will apparently be running the Flex. Though best known as a sub, he's expected to transition to the Flex, a move Vegas believes will give them more firepower and versatility than many of the remaining ARs. Now, I actually don't hate Kismet on a Flex. I think he can do a great job of it. What's concerning, of course, is the whole Pred Exnid thing running it back. To me, Kismet and Pred actually sounds like a really good sub-duo in the same way that Kismet was very enabling to HyDra. HyDra and Pred aren't totally, like, identical players by any means, but they are both slaying subs who don't like to be in the objective. So that's where I think where Kiz could do a great job there. But it looks like Exnid's still going to be the sub-duo. Maybe they just feel that Exnid on the Flexnid back at the World Cup was just not working with TJ. So they're going to put Exnid back to the sub and Kiz on the Flex. It's like, you know, I guess it's fine, but it's not really setting the world on light as far as I'm concerned. And I think if you're Cellium, you're probably looking at this thinking, damn, when I signed this contract, I was probably expecting to have a slightly better team. Now, in due course, give it a year, could be a very different story. But yeah, Pred, Cell, Kiz, Exnid. What do we think about that? What's the ceiling? What's the floor? Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.